We're ready to go?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, good morning.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning. This is the New York City Board of Standards and Appeals Public Review Session for October 5th, 2020, the 10 a.m. session. No public testimony is permitted during the review session. The following cases are adjourned. 86348BZ, 25916 Union Turnpike, Queens. 52871BZ, 13340 150th Street, Queens. 2191BZ, 2407-2417 Linden Boulevard, Brooklyn. 2018-198A, 85 Trenton Court, Staten Island. 2019-90A, 2432 Gerolman Street, Brooklyn. 2019-30BZ, 2705 East 28th Street, Brooklyn. 2019-292BZ, 41-62 Brown Street, Queens. And the following cases requested to be withdrawn. 2016-4264BZ, 194 Moffett Street, Brooklyn.
Okay.
The following items, oh, sorry.
We can vote on it, right?
Oh, yes, sorry,
Yep.
yes.
So there was a letter from the property owner requesting withdrawal. So I'd like to make a motion to withdraw.
Chair Perlmutter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda?
This is to withdraw without prejudice, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
okay.
Mhm.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta?
Aye.
Commissioner Shabeta?
Aye.
Okay. The following items are decision cases. Item number 9, 5813A, 4 Windman Place, Staten Island.
Right. We were waiting for a final DOT letter. I didn't see anything coming in Friday or yesterday or anything like that. And so, what?
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I emailed you DOT's letter.
Oh, you did? When?
It was Friday. Friday we received it.
It wasn't.
Friday we received it, and then I emailed you an email between the applicants and DOT, which was uploaded.
Yeah, they responded and bubbled.
No, but the applicant responded to DOT's letter, right? It's not a DOT sign off.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
But if you
don't have a DOT.
Right, but Madam, I don't mean to interrupt you, Madam Chair. So then what I sent you was an email between DOT and DEP, DOT and the applicant, and that was my question to you, is that
Yes.
what response DOT gave to the applicant?
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So the point is, we don't have a final sign off from DOT. The email said we should be able to get one out today. It's waiting to be signed, basically, right? So what I would like to do is, because we'll probably get it either today or tomorrow, put this on for a second call later in the day or tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
DOT, Tony.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow
DOT
afternoon,
has not
how about we
signed-
Wait. DOT has not signed off on the applicant's submission to DOT to respond to DOT's comments. DOT said, do the following changes on the drawings, right? The applicant did changes, but we don't have the sign off from DOT that says good on the changes, right? So rather than.
Okay, that's what you're looking for. Okay, that's what you're looking for.
I always want DOT sign off. All we have is an email saying the letter is out for signature, but that's not a sign off for me. That's just the letter is out, and whoever the person is who's signing may say, hey, wait a minute. Or they may change their mind because they see something they didn't see before or whatever. So, but so as not to delay this further, we have 2 days where DOT could give us something. So I think what we should do is, maybe the applicant can also do that, is reach out to DOT and say, can we get this letter today or first thing tomorrow, so that we can put it on for this, we can actually decide. Commissioner Shanda?
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to suggest maybe we schedule this for tomorrow afternoon session. as the last item. That will give everybody a lot of time to get DOT to provide a response letter, hopefully signing off on it.
So I would rather not give them till 4 o'clock in the afternoon kind of thing to get it to us. So
Okay.
I would like to just say we need to get it today or first thing tomorrow morning, because we cannot be doing this on a photo finish. That's not right for the applicant. And without the.
Yeah, I tried and they finally gave it to me on Friday, the letter
Yeah,
from
no,
DOT.
and I get it. DOT has plenty to do. We're not the only agency that's asking them to do things. So, but at the same time, I don't want to photo finish it. We don't know what time we'll be finished tomorrow, right? It could be noon, it could be 7. We don't know. So, okay. All right, let's go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Okay, the next item up for decision is item number 10, 2019-307BZ, 277 South Fifth Street, Brooklyn.
Yes. There were no submissions required on that. And so I'd like to make a motion to grant, but with a note that, with a condition. There's a note, and I know that our council is aware of this, but there's a note on the drawings about the location having, quote, an increased occupant load per building code 1004.2. So as a condition, I would like to add a note that says that BSA takes no position on the occupancy load in the building, and that such loads must comply with the terms of the parking reduction permit granted under calendar number 2016-4244BZ. Okay, and Tracy, did you want to say something?
No.
No, okay. Okay, so, and I think it's Chase. Hi, Chase. You have that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. All right then, so with that note added to the resolution, a motion to grant.
Chair Perlmutter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shabeta.
Aye.
Application's been granted. Item number 11, 2019-281A. This is 965 Richmond Avenue, Staten Island.
Sorry. Scrolling.
The cell tower case.
Yes. No additional submissions were requested or received on this. The question presented to us is whether the proposed purpose-built monopole with attached cellular antennae is a use group 6D, quote, other communication equipment structure permitted as of right in a C22 zoning district, or a, quote, non-accessory radio tower for which a 73-30 special permit is required. My position on this case is one of simple land use characteristics, and the zoning resolution description of use group 6D, quote, telephone exchanges or other communication equipment structures, which anticipate a building typology that needs parameters as to height, since the building bulk has no floor area, but does have lot coverage equivalent to that of a building. DOB provided examples of many such structures, both the really tall kind of AT&T telephone exchanges, and then pictures of kind of like little houses and things like that that are used as such structures. I also look at the BSA's almost unbroken record of processing applications for such monopoles that support cellular equipment under the 7330 special permit that applies to radio and television towers. And finally, I look at the nature of a monopole, a structure indeed, but with almost no lot coverage, so not possible to regulate as to height under the parameters described in use group 6D. Radio and television towers have small footprints and tiny lot coverage. They emit electromagnetic waves. All of these are characteristics of a monopole with cellular equipment mounted to it or inside of it. Such towers or monopoles can be located in the open spaces of a site with other uses, such as in a yard or parking lot, or on top of other structures. I don't believe that this analysis defeats in any way the position that the monopole with cellular equipment may also be a public utility. The public service establishments list in use group 6D is not exhaustive, and that title is not in itself a use group. From a public policy perspective, I think the monopole cellular tower or the stealth tree that we see in places most of the time outside of the city should not be permitted to be located anywhere at all in a district, especially since in New York City, our commercial districts are often narrow 1 to 2 story strips adjoining residential neighborhoods where unfettered development of such structures would be undesirable for the community. So in this case, I would vote no on the appeal that it is not a use group 6D. So I go to Commissioner Shanda, Vice Chair Shanda.
Okay, thank you. I agree the concern that the the DOB has raised is out of the concern of the proliferation of cellular system in the city and how that needs to be addressed in the absence of a proper definition in the zoning resolution. And all throughout the history of telecommunication or other communication equipment structure, I think there has been like an extension of the definition to the extent possible. And that started with TPPN 598 to kind of extend the definition of the communication equipment structure to allow cellular antenna and equipment in residential district. And all throughout the review of DOB's permit reviews and permit approvals, it indicates that DOB has applied use group 6D, other communication equipment structure, to cellular monopoles in commercial and manufacturing zoning districts, only in the cases where the monopoles exceeded the height limits or penetrated the sky exposure plane. An objection was issued to seek a special permit at BSA as a radio and TV antenna in the absence of a clear definition in the zoning resolution. So the difference in the as of right and the special permit monopole had to do with the height of the structure exceeding the permitted envelope and not with the operation or use of the cellular structure as initially stated by DOT in its submission back in February. So for DOB to state that it proposes to issue a clarification where only cellular antenna on a building may qualify as a communication equipment structure, but a cellular tower at grade may be permitted by only special permit as radio tower. I find this troubling because at the end of it, it is only the build form that is being factored in and not the operation or the use. If the cellular equipment mounted on a monopole that is within the permitted built envelope is same in terms of operation to that mounted on a building, why should it be treated as a different use? And this goes to the application of ZR 1122. DOB in the past had applied only bulk of the structure as land use rationale in issuing permits for as of right cellular tower and objections when the cellular monopole exceeded the permitted envelope. So far, no one seemed to have questioned that cellular antenna and equipment is not a communication equipment tower. But DOB is now applying the use as a reason to distinguish the monopole as a radio and a TV tower when there are same number of antenna and equipment mounted on a monopole to that on the roof of a building. Thus far, DOB has not been able to convince me of the similarities of use of a monopole to a radio or a TV tower. Instead of applying ZR 1122, a change in the zoning regulations will make the matter less muddled and give a clearer guidance to the industry. DOB needs to engage the industry in developing the next steps and come up with a uniform process and interpretation or a change in the zoning resolution. So I would vote yes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Otley Brown?
I tend to agree with the vice chair on this. I believe that the Rosenberg case gives us instruction as to considering cellular service as a public utility, and it should be a guide to us to help streamline processes and not make them more onerous. And I feel like TPPN 598 was an example of trying to streamline the processes. And now I see that because of there has been a proliferation of cell towers over time, DOB has been trying to change their policy and make it more difficult to do this, and to also limit the height and siting of cell towers. And the way they're trying to get at that is through making a strained reference or connection between a cell tower and a non-accessory radio TV tower in order to get at their primary goal. I don't think that this is the appropriate venue or way in which they should do that. I think if they want to further control cellular service, they need to do it by amending the zoning resolution. So in that case, I agree with Vice Chair Chanda, and I would vote to grant the appeal.
Thank you. Commissioner Shetta.
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to be repetitive, but I'll try to summarize my view in three main points. Number one, DOB has long-standing practice granting similar structures in similar districts. They didn't deny that. The applicant presented a list of like many communication monopoles or towers, and DOB conceded that yes, they did grant permits to these kind of very similar monopoles. The second thing is we cannot, the chair mentioned something about the bulk, the lot coverage of the monopole, and how it's kind of like very small to the degree that you could think that it doesn't have a lot coverage. I theoretically speaking, a monopole still have some lot coverage, because even if you look at the shaft itself, it does have some footprint, and if you divide that by the lot, it gives you a lot coverage, and it gives you, I would say, some floor area, although there are like no floors at all. But my idea is you cannot penalize a structure for having a tiny lot coverage or tiny floor area. In contradiction to that, I would say if an applicant has the right to build something with a lot coverage, let's say 20%, and he presents drawings to the DOB to make that 20% 0.2%, that would be favorable actually from the perspective of the zoning official. So I see nothing wrong with the monopole having a tiny lot coverage or tiny floor area. And actually they say that in order for the DOB to grant a permit to a similar structure to this, they would do it if it has some sort of floor area, floors, and bigger lot coverage. I see this doesn't make sense looking at the zoning resolution and how it is like steered to control like the bulk of any structure. The third thing is the Rosenberg case actually, and this is very clear. It mentions that other communication structures, and I look at the subject application, very simple like that. Is this a structure? Yes, I have looked at many zoning resolutions or zoning codes outside the city. I understand that the word structure is not defined in the zoning resolution. However, it is defined like in many other zoning codes. And is this a structure of the monopole? Yes, it is. And is it for communication? Yes, it is. Then it's a done deal. For me, the decision should be like very clear, and I vote yes for that.
Thank you. Commissioner Shibeta?
Thank you, Chair. Just one moment. So I'm not going to be repetitive on what I said at the last hearing. I don't believe that Rosenberg applies to this case. That's a use variance. It was for a use variance, and the holding of the case doesn't apply here, in my opinion. I think that the chair was mentioning lot coverage because of how 6D speaks of building-like structures with regard to what applies here. I do believe that 7330 seems to fit better than 6D, and I believe that according to ZR 1122, whichever provision that's more restrictive or imposes a higher standard requirement is the one that should govern. And for those reasons, along with the reasons that I stated at the last review session on this, I am going to vote no.
Okay. So I think, thank you everyone. So I think now I make a motion to grant, which is how we do it, right? And then everyone casts their vote. So a motion to grant. Tony, you're muted.
Chair Perlmutter,
No.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Yes.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Yes.
Commissioner Shabeta.
No.
So it's a 3-2 vote.
Thank you very much, everyone.
The next item for decision is 2019-7BZ 3341 Country Club Road, the Bronx.
Okay. So what we were waiting for, we deferred decision last time because the drawings were incomplete and uncoordinated. And they have since been completed and coordinated with drawings submitted on September 29th. So I would like to make a motion to grant on condition, which everyone knows is city, state, and federal approvals must be obtained before construction proceeds. So based on that, a motion to grant.
Chair Perlmutter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shabeta.
Aye.
Okay, application is granted. The next items are SOC calendar continued hearing item number 13, 5830BZ, 7313 Cooper Avenue, Queens. Please remember, this is a review session, no public testimony.
Okay. I thought this submission was very responsive and even brought in a bit of design consideration to the questions presented. I was very happy to see the shape of landscaping considered as a design challenge for one of the few times. There are, however, a few open issues. The landscaping solution with angled parking looks good, but we need a landscaping drawing specifying the types of vegetation being planted and the on-center spacing between the vegetation with the goal of creating a dense, tall buffer to shield the second-story windows of the adjacent property from the use. The drawing must also include details of the planting beds that are deep enough to support the planting with curbs and rodent deterrence protections and wheel stops. And I'll leave to the landscape architects who do this all the time about the rodent protection deterrence. We also need details of the dumpster enclosure that should be designed to shield the neighbors from its view and to prevent rodents from feeding on it. The dumpster, which is servicing a convenience store, therefore has perishables. It's located near the planting area. And unless you are careful with it, you could be encouraging rodents. So normally the design would be a concrete block or solid metal panel walls and solid steel doors with sweeps to reduce entry points. not be chain link fencing with slats. And I also looked up, there are many prefabricated versions of this kind of thing, which actually might be an easier solution, and particularly because the closures are tight, but concrete block and the steel walls, steel doors also works. I'm now, for all the project managers listening on this call, I beseech you to check the plans that come in on submission to be sure that every application of this type shows the design elements of the landscaping. There's a landscaping plan, there's details of the planting beds, that includes curbs, that includes wheel stops where a car is going to be driving up to the planting bed, and includes details of the trash enclosures. Not doing that slows down the hearings and means that we'll have to have another hearing where I think this applicant would have provided that material had it been advised to do so, picked up by the project manager. On the ADA parking space, which they show, which is kind of diagonally across the lot from the convenience store, they did show this kind of path to access it. I'm just curious why the space isn't being located adjacent to the front door for ADA parking, between the doors to the repair garage and the door to the convenience store. It seems like there's an unobstructed spot that might be up to a car. So I'm curious why they're not doing that, which make it less likely that a person who's disabled, moving really slowly, is confronted with kind of an active lot. The lumen spread diagram isn't showing 0 at the residential property line, and it isn't clear at what point the numbers provided were taken. Instructions are clear in our administrative notice that we need a measurement at the property line. It's supposed to be 0 at the property line, and this is a measurement that's forward of the property line. And there's a wall. It could have sat on top of the wall. I believe it's a wall. It could have sat on top of that and just taken that measurement. And then just to pick up Tracy Benkin's seeker issue, she's advising me that BSA staff did reach out to DOT about the concerning pedestrian curb cut at the intersection. So it's not a seeker question. It was just an observation that DOT needs to be alerted to this really strange kind of obstructed pedestrian curb cut. And with any luck, they'll address the issue. At least they know about it now. Thank you, Tracy, for doing that.
You're welcome.
Vice Chair Shanda?
I very much appreciate the applicant's quick response and being thoughtful in terms of how to address the concerns that we have raised. And I do like the solution the applicant has proposed by creating angular parking and providing as much of dense buffering as possible. They have really made an earnest effort in trying to resolve all the comments. I do like the suggestion of switching the ADA parking number 2 to parking number 6. I think the reason the 6 and 5 they have kept it without ADA is because that's where the service vehicles are kept. But I think that if the service vehicles are kept, the store is going to move the vehicles around. So if it's parked in aisle number 2, parking spot number 2 will not be an issue, and with an ADA parking on parking spot number 6. I think that also will take away the need for a 5-foot ADA walkway between parking space 1 and 2, and may bring the parking space number 4 away from the lot line and minimize any possible encroachment of vehicles onto the sidewalk. So I do like the idea of number 6 becoming the ADA parking spot instead of number 2. Other than that, I did not have any other comments. And they have responded to proposing a street tree along Cooper Avenue between two curb cuts. So I do thank them for looking into that, and they should submit an application to DOT requesting that. Though I'm not sure this is the season for it, but we need to have that on file.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. Commissioner Otley Brown?
I agree that the rotation of the angled parking was a great idea. It was a great way to be able to provide the landscaping and provide the parking and allow for the maneuvering onto the site. And I have no additional comments.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Sheta?
Thank you, Chair. I agree that the submission was very responsive, and I share the comments regarding the lighting diagram. We need clarifications on that, where the readings are taken and the methodology and why they couldn't follow the administrative notice that we issued. I wasn't sure which way these readings were taken actually. So did they turn off the lights of the adjacent? Then it wasn't explained on the diagram.
I think the cover letters, I think the cover letter said because the levels were so low near the property line, they didn't, with the lights on, they didn't turn the lights off. So it's not so much the on and off. For me, it's what's at the property line.
I'm not sure. The chair is frozen. I'm not sure if it's only me.
Oh, okay.
Commissioner Sheta, you're frozen.
NASA, it's you.
How about now?
Chair, we can hear you, but your video
You're
is
frozen, yeah. Oh, now we see you.
now you're fine, but Commissioner Sheta is still frozen.
Okay.
How about I start and if he gets back?
Yes,
Signing off and signing on again. You can hear me now, right?
right.
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
But what I wanted to say to him where I was frozen, the lighting levels, they said in their letter that they didn't turn the lights off because the level was very low towards the property line. My question was, what is it at the property line actually? And we'll pick up with him after. Okay, Commissioner Shibata.
So that was the only question I had. What was it at the property line? I agree with everything else that was said. I think the anglized parking was a great idea, and there's nothing further from me on this.
Okay, thank you.
Do we wait for Sheta, Commissioner Sheta?
I think we already heard, and we can always continue at the hearing if he has more.
Okay, so the next item is item number 14, 55137BZ, 23302 Northern Boulevard, Queens. Are we calling these separately, Madam? Should I call the other one?
They need to be separate.
Okay, so 55137BZ.
Okay. There was a timely submission. Actually, can somebody, maybe, Kurt, can you maybe send one of those phone calls to Commissioner Sheta? Maybe he's having, oh, there he is. Okay.
Yeah, I apologize. I had an issue with the Wi-Fi.
Okay. All right. We just moved on. Could you say the case number again?
Sure, it's 55137BZ, 23302 Northern Boulevard, Queens.
There was a timely submission on September 17th, but our property manager notified the applicant that there was an error on drawing A-002.02 that should have been corrected. I don't see any subsequent submissions made, however. Our Deputy General Counsel reviewed the restrictive declaration and also requested modifications to it. And I also don't see that that was resubmitted. And the restrictive declaration, I listened to the video on this case and the next case, just so I would get all the sort of salient details of what we discussed. The restrictive declaration was also supposed to address access to the adjacent property with breakdown for parking type. So if they listen to our review session, we actually had language that said that the access between the two would be restricted and that there could be no operations from one business to the other. And so, but the restrictive declaration as proposed just says the premises shall be used separately and apart from its adjacent neighbor. That's not specific enough that you can't drive from one to the other. There can't be any access. That's what we talked about at the hearing at length. And also that the two sites would be separated by a fence to prevent that access. And so that doesn't show up in the restrictive declaration. The declaration also doesn't distinguish, and we talked about this for a very long time, between the rental, the sale and the repair parking spaces. We talked at length about how to designate a sale space versus a rental space on the drawings, and with letters R and S, that was not done. And then to indicate what those totals are. And then that was supposed to have appeared in the restrictive declaration. So I'm actually surprised that after all that discussion, it wasn't done. Photos do show the bollards with chains were installed along the property line to prevent cars from hanging over the sidewalk. And so I really do appreciate that speedy response by the owner. I feel like the owner itself is being very responsive to the board's instructions, but that the applicant isn't. The owner's like consultant isn't, and that's unfortunate. The curb cuts on the site plan need to be dimensioned. We should never just see floating curb cuts of unknown width. And I have to say, I'm kind of confused by this submission. We asked for a landscaping plan and only have some plant shapes drawn on the site plan with no planting beds and no details of the planting beds with curbs. And the planting looks like an afterthought or less than an afterthought. And again, beseeching our project managers, if you receive drawings that have plant landscaping and they don't have a landscaping plan that includes details of the planting beds and exactly how the curbs are going to be built and so on, reject the submission. You just send it back and say it's not an adequate submission, and give them 2 days to respond to it, or we adjourn. It's very simple. You don't have to spend a lot of time reviewing the submissions, but you need to check for that. There are also in these drawings, which shows that, I'm not sure anyone even looked at this application. There are 2 sets of drawings for the trash enclosure, one standard one on T-002.3 and one elaborate one with the planter on top on A-002. That detail shows a soil depth of possible of 16 inches, yet the specifications for the one plant that's proposed to go there requires an 18-inch soil bed. And of course, one plant isn't adequate to create any kind of a sense of landscaping. So, what's going on? It seemed that nobody from the applicant's team reviewed the submission before it went out. The circulation plan submitted on June 25th, so prior to the prior hearing, shows a different parking layout than is shown on T-002.3. They need to coordinate that. I'm pretty sure we mentioned that at the last hearing. And I don't believe we received a written response to our question about access from this site to the adjacent site, or about how the area between the building and the adjacent site is used. We asked that question at the last hearing. Some of it was answered in hearing, but never in writing. And where is the response to Commissioner Sheta's concerns about drainage? We were supposed to get a plan with elevations indicating that the site slopes to the drains, elevations of the grade level to indicate that the site is sloping to the drains. That was also a very long discussion, so I'm extremely surprised to have seen 0 on it. And I have to say, this application is getting pretty frustrating. At the last hearing, applicants counsel begged us to move the case forward. But how can we do that when the submission is unresponsive and uncoordinated? That isn't the board being difficult. That is the applicant and the consultants lacking diligence. So, apologies to your client should come from the consultants apologizing to the client. Our council should be aware that the approved use groups are use group 16 auto repair and use group 9 auto sales, just because that's going to come up while you write the resolution. And there's a business operation plan on page 6 of the statement of facts that should be incorporated into our resolution. And those are my comments. Commissioner Shanda?
Okay, so in the plan, the applicant did, as you indicated, you know, they did show the bollards. They did indicate the parking spaces designated for auto sales versus parking spaces designated for repair and the total count. And I agree with you that these need to be reflected in the restrictive deck.
Sorry. In which plan? I didn't see one that showed.
It's in hold on. It's in T002.03.
Hold on one second, because I was looking at it and I continued to see only numbers.
It's, I wish the lettering would have been a little bit bold, but it is there. It shows 12 parking spaces marked as S and 6 parking spaces marked as R.
Hold on a second. T what?
T002.03.
Ah, okay. Oh, okay. So, you know, I don't know if I looked at a different one, but it's true that the letters are really, really light. And we were also supposed to get a totaling.
It is there on the left-hand side, below the legend and schedule. It says parking space designation.
Okay. That's only 18 spaces. There were supposed to be 22.
Well, now they've reduced it to 18 total, which is fine, if that's what they're going for.
Well, so that's the other thing. If you look at the maneuverability plan, the one that was submitted in June, it had more
Mhm.
parking spaces in that side, that side area. On the other side, that's now vacant of spaces.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and also the numbering is, my comment was that numbering is a little bit off. It shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as the rental, and then the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, yeah, 18. Yeah. No, I take back. I found the 7.
okay. Okay, so they have to clarify. All the discussion last time was about 22 parking spaces. Okay, apologies. I did not see the S's. Maybe I was looking at a different screen and I couldn't see it.
No, it is difficult to read. So one has to like zoom in to see that. But my comment was that they have reduced the number of parking spaces, and that should be reflected in the restrictive deck, and the breakdown of the parking spaces by sales and rental also need to be reflected in the restrictive deck.
Right.
And I agree the curb cuts need to be dimensioned.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Otley Brown?
I have no comments.
Okay. Commissioner Sheta?
Thank you, Chair. I thank you for raising this issue. It's actually very frustrating for me to see that kind of behavior from the applicant and the applicant consultants. When I used to have a typo in a drawing in the past, and somebody picks it, I feel like I'm ashamed. And when I have a typo or a mistake, and somebody tells me that you have to correct this, I apologize and I go like in rush to correct it immediately. But I cannot understand that somebody is putting discharge units on a drawing as square feet, and he was alerted about that, and he just resubmit the same exact drawing. This is, for me, this is painful. And we've been promised that a grade elevation survey will be submitted to understand how these grades are sending water to the floor drains, not to the adjacent properties. We didn't get that. nor anything was mentioned in the submission letter for why this is not submitted. This is, I look at this as disrespect to the board. That's it.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Shibeta.
Thank you, Chair. I too was hoping that this case would resolve. I did see the lack of response with regard to the restrictive deck, and I really have nothing further to say on this.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next one.
Item number 15, 33478BZ 233-20 Northern Boulevard, Queens.
Okay, photos of the repaired sidewalks were provided. Again, I very much appreciate the owner's rapid response to the board's comments on this. The physical activities seem to be going much faster than making changes to drawings. The restricted declaration in this case also should have been clear about the number of cars for sale and restricting access to the other property. It's the same comments as on the prior one. So I'm going to defer to Commissioner Shanda about the whether the drawings show RNS spaces, because that was my same comment. The space, the operations plan on page 5 of the statement of facts should be incorporated into the resolution, and I'm going to hand it over to Vice Chair Shanda about the whether the R and S designations are there, because I didn't see them.
You're right, Madam Chair. In this one, there is not.
Okay.
So that was my question, and that it needs to be reflected in the restrictive deck. And same thing with the curb cuts, the dimensions should be provided.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Otley Brown. You're muted, I think. Oh, more than muted, you're frozen. Yeah, she dropped out. Okay, she'll come back in, so I'm going to go to Commissioner Sheta.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any comments on this.
Commissioner Shibeta.
Nothing further from me.
Okay. All right, let's give Commissioner Otley Brown a second. I don't know why some days we drop in and out and other days it's perfect. Hard to know. Kurt, you think you could just call Commissioner Otley Brown so she could just weigh in on this one case, and then she can call in on YouTube?
Yes, but I would need the phone number.
Oh, the city cell?
Yeah, you text it to him though.
Yeah, don't say it out loud.
No, well, yeah, but do I have it on mine? I don't know which one she's on, the city cell, I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Oh. Where's that list when I need it?
Here, I'm sending it to Kurt.
Sorry. I know it's on my phone, but I can't pull it up. Oh, I don't have it in this phone. Oh,
I Kurt. Let's see.
got it? Sorry.
She may get on.
Okay, just received.
Hello? Sorry, I
Yeah.
got knocked off.
Okay, so we can keep you on your phone until you're able to rejoin us on Zoom. So we're still on calendar number 33478BZ, and you didn't have a chance to give us your comments.
Right, I had no additional comments for that.
Okay, all right, so we're gonna move on to the next one, and then when you can get back on Zoom, then please do.
Okay, the item
Okay.
number, oh, I'm sorry. Item number 16, 38985BZ, 2090 Bronxdale Avenue, the Bronx.
Okay, the Bronx. Okay, commissioners to note, okay, there's Commissioner Otley Brown again. Welcome back. Commissioners should note that there were 3 separate submissions on this application on September 16th, September 23rd, and September 30th. So I have to say, well, with respect to the landscaping question, I can only say something to the effect of what a difference a few months make. We went from 0 in-ground ground planting to a very nicely landscaped area along Brady. And I have to thank Mr. Ronan for being so careful in his responses to our many comments and our long review session hearing, which was bereft with lots of technical difficulties. To our comments, questions. Am I frozen?
No, you started to,
Can you
go
hear
ahead,
me?
keep going. Yeah, keep going.
I do appreciate his responsiveness to our questions and careful noting of all the comments. The only thing missing from the submission are the planting bed details showing curbing. What was provided was a tree pit detail, which isn't the same thing. So tree pits have a whole rule about the size of the tree ball and how they're planted. A planting bed detail is something very specific. It's made out of poured concrete, right? With curbs, right? Also details of the trash enclosure. So this is the 3rd hearing we've talked about just this morning, where having put those things on the drawings would have shortened the length of the hearing process. So ADA access was properly shown on the plans, which are much clearer than they were before and more professionally prepared than they were before, with a proper title block that shows the address. Lumen spread measurements were taken following our administrative notice. The measurements were taken early in the AM. It's something like 4 or 5 in the morning with lights on and off. I want to thank very much the applicant very much for doing it that way, as the results are very clear. I'm pretty sure that Commissioner Schett had asked for cuts of the fixtures with the light spread to be added to the drawings, but I'm okay in this case since there is no spillage onto residential properties at all. This is across the street from residents, right? And the readings are based on field measurements. So I don't think that we need to also double check that it's like believable, right? But I do want to say, and sometimes we get the cut sheets on the drawings automatically from the applicants without asking. And so I just want to kind of alert staff in general on this. If the administrative notice needs to be amended to require the cut sheets with lumen spread diagrams that are specific to the fixture and lamp, then we should update the administrative notice so everyone knows to do it. And as I said,
Yeah,
sometimes
sorry.
give it to us. No, you don't have to say sorry about that because it's not been a consistent request.
Right, because we had sent him I had asked him to review the review session and the last hearing, and also we sent him the notice and the sample that that the board liked. So I was hoping that was enough.
No. I think he did an excellent job. I think that the cut sheets is something that Commissioner Schett mentioned at the hearing, but I don't want to belabor it because it wasn't on our administrative notice, and that could be confusing, right? The notice says do this, and then he was given a different instruction at the hearing. So if we want to see, and I think it's a good idea, cut sheets of the fixtures, that we should add that to the admin notice. So that's a please to staff to work on that modification to the notice. And we can use examples from some other cases where they do put those cut sheets and then these funny little blob diagrams that show how the lamp casts its light in a position, okay? Photos were provided and show tar applied to the asphalt cracks. The asphalt is in very bad shape and it needs to be resurfaced. We discussed this at the prior hearings and applicant represented that this would happen. So this is the reverse of the last case we heard, where the people responsible for the drawings in the application are super responsive, but the owner isn't. So if only those two things could be combined together, we'd have a faster production of cases. So that the resurfacing should be done to get the property into a really good shape moving forward. I'd suggest that it be done when the in-ground planting is installed because it's going to wreck the asphalt in that area. Photos were also intended to show that the gate on the trash enclosure was repaired. The supporting frame for that gate is bent. It can't be repaired. It needs to be replaced. And also the slatting looks terrible and it's unfinished at the bottom and trash bags are hanging out through the space between. It's one of those, taking a photograph, make sure the photograph doesn't show it looking terrible, right? I do think that the chain link trash doors should be replaced with properly hung solid steel doors. I've said before that I can't stand this idea of trash enclosures being made out of chain link fence with slatting. It's supposed to be concealing trash and it's supposed to be, again, keeping rodents out. And that's exactly the wrong kind of door for that. I've looked up that these kind of solid steel hung steel doors are readily available in the market and they come pre-hung. They're very easy to install. Also in that photograph, it revealed that the ramp that goes up to the enclosure for the dumpster to roll down is cracked and it needs to be not patched. It needs to be properly repaired, not patched, right? Repair means you cut out the broken areas and you repave over the whole thing. Or if necessary, you break away the broken thing and you replace it, okay? Those are my comments. Vice Chair Shanda.
I have no additional comments on it.
Commissioner Otley Brown.
I saw that they seem to apply an asphalt sealant to the pavement because it does look better than it looked before. I don't know if I feel comfortable asking them to now rip it up and then completely repave.
No, so I'm not talking about ripping it up. When there's a bunch of different photographs, some look okay, like they did put that thin layer down on top, and
Right.
some look like they just took goo, tar, and smeared it onto the cracks. So if it was treated differently in different spots, then it's just applying that you're calling it a sealant. I'm not really sure. We call it resurfacing a lot of the times. It's not at all ripping up the pavement. It's just kind of another layer on top of what you've got. So I agree.
Okay.
I agree with you, but the idea is for it not to look like broken and nasty and for the next 10 years.
Okay. I have no other comments then.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Sheta.
Thank you, Chair. I have no further comments.
Commissioner Shabeta.
I don't have anything to add, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Madam Chair,
Tony,
go ahead.
yeah, I saw the letter from the DOT for Winman, so if we want to go back to it, I just wanted to say that.
All right.
That's
He's on top of it. Okay, I just need to finish.
it.
the note.
Okay.
I
just
saw it in the email, that's why.
That's why I wanted to ask her. Thank you. You got my
Thank you,
back. You got my back, NASA.
Okay. This is the last one of the morning. Okay, so let's go back to
So
Wyman.
we're going back to 5813A Wyman Place, Staten Island. So DOT emailed me and said, DOT is not sending another letter. DOT does not have any additional requirements. However, DOT needs the applicant to fulfill those requirements stated in the letter from last week. So can we condition the resolution? So DOT says they're not sending another letter.
Okay, so conditions of last week. Let me see if I can figure out what those are. That didn't make it easy. Okay.
So Tika, sorry, let me get it. Okay, where's the letter? DOT response.
I had lots of. Yeah, I don't have handy access to the letter of last week. Anybody who can find it first wins. 58.
Well, they were asking for several things and, oh God, why can't I get it on there?
All right, that letter was loaded onto SharePoint, right?
Mhm. Okay.
What date was that letter
It's from
submitted?
Friday.
October 2nd?
Mhm.
No.
No, I don't see that letter in SharePoint.
It had to be. I sent it to submit on Friday. It was late. Let me just get it, see if I can get it here. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. I think I
You see it?
found it.
If
The
you
only-
found it in pointer on the email. I only find their emails.
Yeah, the only thing that is in the SharePoint is the email.
Okay. They wanted them to revise the site plan. Let me just see. They sent it. Oh God, where's the letter?
So how about this, rather than us doing this in front of the world,
Sorry.
have either Mr. Goldstein or DOT resend us the letter that he's referring to, that Tika is referring to.
It should be, I sent it to submit. I don't know why it's not there.
We don't have it, and we also don't have it in email form. So,
I sent it on Friday. I'm looking for it.
Tony, sorry, I don't want to hold up the hearing during
I'm
this.
sorry.
Let's have either that email forwarded to us so that we can read it, not the email, the letter forwarded to us so we can read it, have Mr. Goldstein forward us the letter, or have Mr. Gurung forward us the letter, and let's move on to the hearing, okay?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. For some reason, it's not pulling up on mine, but I did send it. Okay,
Let's move
okay,
on.
okay.
Can I
Public
just
hearing?
simply say, I think it was Friday at 3:52 PM, Tony? If that helps you.
Yeah, for some reason, I can't bring it up on my thing. Okay.
Okay. All right, let's proceed.
Okay. This is the public review session. The following
No.
cases, sorry, this is the public hearing for October 5th, 2020, 10 a.m. I apologize. So the following cases to be discussed: SOC calendar continued hearing, item number 13, 5830BZ, 7313 Cooper Avenue, Queens.
Good morning. Hello. Oh, my name is Diwakar Gupta. I'm representing Nazir J. Kanzada.
Okay, are you the only one appearing?
Yes,
Okay, let me swear you in. Raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board, and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Please proceed. Response to the
Okay.
commissioner's question.
Okay, good morning. I listened to the review session this morning. We can provide a landscaping plan with the details of the types of plantings, the spacing, the planting bed depth, and the curbs, the wheel stops, and measures to protect the plants from rodents. And we can also provide details on the dumpster enclosure. I think we can do a metal enclosure with solid steel doors. I think moving the ADA parking spot to location number 6, closer to the entrance to the convenience store should be fine. So we can update our plans to show that. The lumen spread measurements. So I think the measurements were taken at the property line. We just didn't show them on our update the plans to show that they were taken right at the property line. The previous submission had them show them a couple feet away, and we forgot to update the location of those measurements so we can show that they were right at the property line.
Okay,
And
but so they, sorry, Mr. Gupta, they exceed 0 at the property line and they're not allowed to. So that's the issue. Spilling onto the adjacent property, and only when they're spilling onto the sidewalk are we okay. This is spilling onto residential property.
Okay, we can take measurements with the lights turned off at the gas station to show to see if it's from the ambient lighting.
Okay. And if it isn't, you need to shield it or something, right?
Okay. And I think that was all I had to say.
I think that's it. Okay, so what I want to make sure is with respect to the landscaping plan, when you make the modifications, please submit your drawings as soon as possible, well before the submission date, so that and call your project manager, who is Daryl Ruffin, to let him know that you're doing that, so that Mr. Ruffin can review the drawing and make sure that it's complete, because I don't want to have you come back because, you know, something that a project manager could have picked up was not picked up, okay? So we're going to assign a continuation date, or maybe, yeah, I wonder if we can close this.
Want to close?
I don't think so, because there's still a continuation date, and I don't want you to wait until the last minute to submit. Instead, submit as soon as you've corrected the drawings, okay?
Sure.
That way we can have our project manager review this, and then if any changes are necessary, then you'll have time to make the changes, okay? Okay. Any other comments from commissioners? We really appreciate, as you heard, you actually designed it. You know, we're so unused to seeing people designing a solution that I just want to say I saw that with such great pleasure. So thank you very much. Okay. All right, then. So then we go to public.
This item is 5830 BZ, 7313 Cooper Avenue, Queens.
We have one, Mr. Steinhaus, are you aware of anyone who is calling in about this? There's one phone, just general phone number in the waiting room.
I am not. No member of the public has registered to speak on this application. However, if you're the phone number, please press *9 in order to raise your hand, or use the Zoom *9 or raise hand feature to let us know that you wish to speak on this application.
Okay. And just as a reminder, we're speaking about application number
5830 BZ, 7313 Cooper Avenue, Queens.
Okay. Okay, so Mr. Gupta, how much time do you need to make your changes?
I think we should have the landscaping plan ready within a week. It might take a little bit more time, maybe 2 weeks, to take the lumen spread measurements with the lighting off, but definitely within 2 weeks.
Okay, so the second you're done with your landscaping drawing, okay, with all the details, and so on, including the trash enclosure, the planting bed, and the specification of the planting and the spacing between each plant type, where the goal, as you understood, is to create a dense buffer for the neighbors who can look right down into this enterprise. As soon as you're done with that, submit it to Mr. Ruffin for his review, okay?
Sure.
Darrell, you got that, Mr. Ruffin? Got it. He nods his head in agreement. So be on the lookout for an email from either I don't know whose email it goes to, from Mr. Gupta or Mr. Kanzada, or one of those two. Okay. All right. That's it. Thank you very much. We will let you know when.
Okay, move on, Madam Chair. Okay, next item is for item number 14, 55137BZ, 23302 Northern Boulevard, Queens.
Hi.
You're the only one, Elise?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do. Thank you very much.
Please proceed.
Firstly, I want to say that with the restrictive declaration, I didn't receive any comments back from council. I followed up. Maybe it was sent to somebody else by accident, but I have not seen any comments. So I will change anything that needs to be changed. And there was 22 parking spaces instead of 18 parking spaces in it, because that was for the original approval, but it is 18, and we can put 18 parking spaces in that restrictive deck with what's for repair and what's for service. I just didn't know what the comments were, so I didn't make any changes.
Okay, so the comments were basically what was stated in the review session. The restrictive deck was supposed to be specific about the number of spaces and the distribution of sales versus repair, so that we know how many. And then also that the language in the restrictive deck right now is not clear enough, that there's not supposed to be any access.
There's no access from one side to the other, and I
know that. It's supposed to say it in the restrictive deck, okay? That there's no access and that there will be a fence installed to prevent access between the two sites. And that should be on both restrictive decks. And if you had listened to the review session, to the hearing the last time, we went over this very specifically, and there was even wording to that effect. And then, Mr. Vine, did you have additional comments about that? You sent me an email. Maybe there was something else?
And could I also have an email of anything he may have noticed so I don't miss anything?
There were additional comments. There was a question whether the restrictive declaration should reference a covenant to prevent sidewalk parking, because it was a concern by the board in earlier hearings.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. It's not allowed anyway, so no sidewalk parking.
Okay. Chase, whatever you can let me know would be much appreciated.
Okay, so is there anything else, Chase, that you wanted to add? Because you're on notice, that's what we want. So you should turn around that restrictive deck and send it back to Chase so that he can review it, and turn it around fast so there's enough time for him for turnaround.
I have nothing to add.
Okay, thank you.
Additionally, with landscaping, there is only a small planter in the front. The fence was created with some sort of landscaping detail when we came to you about a year or two ago, and that's what we did to make the site look nice. And we can put in curb cuts, but I'm unsure what you're looking for in terms of more landscaping, because we followed the previously approved plans, which just have a small planter in the front.
So if you actually look at the drawing, you tell different stories. On every page, it's a different bit of information about the planting. The planter thing that's on top of the trash enclosure,
Yeah.
I said it already. It's shown as having too shallow a planting area to support the plants. It's
Okay.
shown as 16 inches deep and the planting ball is 18 inches deep. The information is that there's only one shrub in it, but in other places there's more and there should be more. It's supposed to be looking like there's planting. And then there's two trash enclosure details in the set of drawings. So which one gets built?
Okay.
The lack of coordination. I'm actually very surprised because you're usually so together on these. This looks like no one looked at the application materials before they were submitted. And
Okay.
so you have to look at every drawing, make sure the drawings are coordinated, make sure the landscaping is designated. There should be a landscaping plan that actually says, even if it's not a lot of landscaping, in this there's actually two, one on top of the trash enclosure and another one in the corner someplace. And both of those require details about what it is.
Mhm.
Okay, and I don't really care what was shown on the last approval, where we've moved into a new methodology for ensuring that future boards know what to expect, okay? Maybe that was the old methodology too, but it wasn't clear on that set of approved drawings, all right?
Okay, thank you. And I spoke to the architect today about your comments, just so you know. He just couldn't come right this second on the hearing. And then in terms of the DEP or the drainage comments, the architect told me that he would have to get a totally new survey and to get elevations. They based it off of an old survey, and then they did the drainage was put in by a reputable company. I can show the contract for that company that put in the drainage, but the only way to get those elevations you're asking for is to order a brand new survey.
So
I
go ahead,
Chair,
Commissioner
please.
Shedd.
Yeah, first of all, when we spoke about this last hearing, we've been told that there is an approval from the DEB for that kind of drainage system.
I'll look.
If you have that approval,
Okay, I'm not sure, because what we did talk about, the DEP definitely did look at it last time, but I'm not sure it's specifically for that, but I'll find the DEP approval from the previous, but I'm not sure it was specific.
if you have a DEP approval, we want to see it. I want to look at it, please. And we need grade elevations,
Okay,
and we need the drawing to be fixed.
But
An
I was just saying
engineer can,
grade elevations, they'd need to order a new architectural survey, and that's why it wouldn't have worked out on time. So you're asking,
I don't want to get the contract for the company that installed the drainage system. I don't care about the reputations. I care about what is in front of me on the drawings.
understood. So I'm just making sure that what you need, because the only way I can is he has to obtain a new survey, because the architect said that's the only way to get those elevations accurate.
Okay, let me just make this clear.
Okay.
We spoke about this for something like 20 minutes at the last hearing. If you go back and you look,
I know, but I thought we came to the conclusion that this was previously, okay.
please don't interrupt, ever. We spoke about it for 20 minutes. We were told by the architect that, or by you, that part I can't remember, that that there may have been a DEP approved drawing, in which case the instruction was, give us that, then we know that someone with skills reviewed it. And we were also discussed that Alley Pond Park is an area which has a very extreme flooding concern, and that's why there was a focus on this. And we also discussed that the drawings reflected a lack of knowledge on the part of the drawer, because it expressed drainage in square feet, which means that they don't understand anything about what they're actually drawing. So we were told we would get all of that. Now, and then instead the submission ignored all of that. It made not one mention of a 20-minute conversation. And the instruction was get a site survey. Now, I doubt that you could actually make a filing to DEP without a site survey. So does that mean those drains were installed without any review by anyone? How would, if the drains are located on a high point, that's funny. So I'm sorry, if you need to do this thing.
Okay, no problem. I thought we
Even,
had.
even if it's a low point, you cannot make sure that the grades gonna take the flood or the surface runoff and put it in these catch basins. And we explained this very clear last hearing. Our concern is we want to make sure that the surface runoff is going to these catch basins. Although they are few, and if I'm the site engineer reviewing this, I wouldn't take it like that. But it's installed, and I said, give me a proof that the service runoff will go to these 3 specific locations. And it was crystal clear. And I recall that you, Alice, mentioned that you're gonna get us grade elevations. Grade elevations mean survey. And here we go, this hearing, you're saying you have to order a survey. You sound like
No, but
you didn't know
last time
about it.
I said I would look into getting it. I didn't know. I spoke with the architect and this is the situation.
But you didn't mention a word of it in your submission, and you didn't.
Wasn't trying to ignore you. I really wasn't.
All right, so you didn't give us an alternative, and so here we are. So you need to do this thing, and I don't want to hear any excuses anymore. Either you got it approved, in which case DEP signed off, or we need to have you have it looked at properly, because otherwise it could be adding to the serious problems that we see in this area about flooding. So that's that. No more discussion. Don't say that we didn't say to you, okay? And don't beg us to expedite this application when the responses are not responsive, okay? All right, and what else?
I don't know if you have any other comments. I mean, I guess I just want to make sure that I know we're going to speak about the next case next, but you want that on for the drainage on both sites. I want to make sure, right? Correct? You want this?
No, I think it was this site only, Commissioner
site
Sheto.
Yeah, I believe it is this site only. I didn't see a drainage system. If you have a drainage system on the other side, yes, we want to see it on the other side as well.
Okay, and
If there
then
is no drainage system, then it's not needed.
There is a drainage system on the other one that does show catch basins. When you get a chance to look at those drawings, we'll talk about that. Okay. All right.
And then I just want to ask on behalf of the client, I know that things change and he's working on things change and we're all working on things that change, but he did follow all the previously approved plans. He updated the site beautifully. You could see, you even said that he's been working hard, and I was wondering if we could at least close this.
No.
Okay.
We have all of these open issues. There you go. So if anybody has to apologize to the client, it's going to have to be you and the consultants. We were ready with this. We wanted these things given to us. They weren't given to us.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know what you expect us to do. Close it based on what? On all of these open questions.
Right. Whatever.
Okay. All right. So now let's go to the public. Anybody else? Any other commissioners? All right. Okay, this item is 55137BZ 23302 Northern Boulevard. Kurt, did anybody register for this one who's in the attendee room?
No. But there are 2 phone numbers who are attendees. So if you would like to speak on this application, please raise your hand using *9.
And those people who are doing that, they need to be listening on the YouTube video or they wouldn't be able to hear, correct?
No, the people who called in are in the webinar as attendees and they're listening directly.
Correct.
So there's no delay.
Okay, great. All right, so I don't see any hands going up with *9. So how much time do you need, Ms. Fullader, to correct these drawings and the restrictive deck?
Just enough time to get that survey. And the restrictive deck I could do immediately with I saw an email from Chase, so.
Okay. Chase, could you CC me on that email, please, if you didn't already? Okay. So how much time? I don't know how much.
The best date you can give us is what we'll take.
Well, if the survey is not ready, that would be a waste of a hearing. So-
Yes, but you can see that the client is incredibly responsive. So I have a strong feeling that if I tell him, he'll act immediately.
Yeah, I just want to say that the other side has a similar drainage system, and thus the survey is needed for both sides.
Okay, we'll let him know.
All right.
Okay,
Or DEP approval, one or the other for both
Okay.
sides.
okay.
Okay.
So let me call the next case, Madam Chair. Item number 15, 33478BZ, 23320 Northern Boulevard, Queens. Raise your right hand. You're the only one coming in?
Yep,
Okay. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do. Thank you.
Proceed.
So with this one, the restrictive deck probably has similar comments. If there's anything Chase wants to add on this, he can email me and I will update that restrictive deck. We just heard your comment about the survey or DEP approval. We'll get that in, and we will put the Rs or Ss on the parking spaces to clarify that along with the restrictive deck. I understood last time that it was for the other case only. That's why I didn't also ask for this, but I misunderstood, and now we will put the Rs and the Ss on this one.
And also on the deck, right?
On the deck,
Great.
yep, it will match.
Okay. All right. I don't think there were any other comments on this one. Yeah, okay. Okay. So again, let's go to the public.
This item is again 33478BZ, 23320 North Boulevard, Queens.
We did have one member of the public register, so we should probably give it at least the 30 seconds in case he is watching on YouTube.
Okay, Mr. Hewler.
Yes. He can call in on the other one. Maybe he couldn't make the time. Okay, so for the call in for 334-78BZ, call in number 646-558-8656. And the webinar ID number is 916-0141-1588.
And if you would like to speak, please raise your hand using *9 on your telephone or the Zoom raise hand feature. Thank you.
While we're waiting, Ms. Fullader, I see the email from Mr. Vine.
Mhm.
So you need to combine with your instruction today, which is to include the comment about no access allowed and a fence between the two sites, right? Because his notes say, break down the parking into spaces for repair and sales, add notes from the operational plan regarding the operation of the site, which includes no parking on the street, and add a covenant to prevent sidewalk parking, which is what I just said. And then no access from the side, which is not on his list, right? So again, his emails don't absolve you of needing to take notes of the review session and the hearing and make sure everything is covered, okay? I listened to the videos And this isn't even my client, right? You should listen to the videos.
Always.
Okay. And take notes, okay? All right then. So how much time to respond to this one? The same as the other, right?
Yep.
All right. All right, let's move on.
Item number 16, 38985 BZ, 2090 Bronxdale Avenue, the Bronx.
This Jeffrey Chester?
No,
Who's?
this is a representative of Walter Gorman's office. It's not it's not Jack Ronan.
Phone number 797, if you will be speaking on this application, please press *9 so that we can recognize you.
I told her to register. Oh.
We do have a Dolly Reyes.
That she's
registered.
representing Gorman's office.
However, the phone number does not match.
Oh,
Why don't we admit 797 and find out who it is? Talking permitted, yeah. Phone number 797, if you can hear us, please state your name and what case you're calling about.
she's
To,
muted.
to unmute on your phone, please press *6.
And those other two people whose names are in the waiting, they're not registered for this, right?
The only one I know of is Miss Reyes.
Okay,
I don't know if the architect or engineer or anybody's coming in.
so I know that Mr. Ronan had really serious technical difficulties the last time. It could be the same. But you know that it's not Mr. Ronan who's calling in on this one?
I don't believe so. He emailed me and said that Miss Reyes is now going to be in the forefront for the firm.
I am
Well-
calling the registered phone number. So hopefully Ms. Reyes will pick up.
It's Monday, people. I'm sorry,
Yes.
Madam Chair.
I think we've got the technical issues handled. We've not got them handled, but I don't know if it's from our doing everything we can.
Again, phone number 797, ending in 797. Please unmute yourself using *6 if you would like to speak on this application.
Let me see if I can get her.
She has joined the meeting. Ms. Reyes, please state your name. Ms. Reyes, please state your name when you can hear us.
There you go.
Hi, my name's Dolly Reyes.
Hi.
Hi, Miss Reyes. How are you?
Good, I apologize. I had technical difficulties and then I was trying to call in.
Okay, I have to swear you in, so raise your right hand, please. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Please proceed, state your name and your affiliation with the firm.
I'm doing well. How are you?
I think your
State your name
YouTube,
for the record.
yeah, I think your YouTube video might be on, so please
just-
turn.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, state your name for the
Sorry.
record,
My name's Dolly Reyes.
and you're representing the firm of Walter Gorman for this application. Okay,
Correct.
okay.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
you wanna- Okay, do you want to respond to the board's comments, please?
Yes. So regarding the missing planting bed detail, we can have that done within a week. that should be no problem. And then I believe the other comment was regarding the cut sheets, but I wasn't positive if that was just towards the administrative notice or.
Yes, it's not, you don't need to provide cut sheets.
Okay. And then the last comment was regarding the asphalt to be resurfaced. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we can, we can speak to the owner and coordinate to have that done. And then the chain link fence trash doors to be replaced by pre-hung solid steel doors, as Chair Perlmutter suggested. As well, we can coordinate that and have that done as well. And I think there was another comment as well regarding the ramp that goes up to the dumpster.
Yes.
That needs to be repaired. Again, we can coordinate that with the owner and have those items done.
Okay, so what I'd like to suggest is this, the smaller things that can be done in a month because it's starting to get cold should be done. And to find out about, because the planting beds are extensive, I don't want to necessarily, I think you and the applicant have been very responsive. And so this is a question to the board members. So what I would suggest is that the smaller things that can be done in the next month or say 6 weeks, because we don't necessarily have open space on our hearing schedule sooner.
Okay.
Those should be done. And if the planting bed could even be done there, fabulous. But if it can't for some reason, then we might make that a condition of the grant, right? Is that okay with everybody? Okay. All right. Everyone is nodding their head in agreement. All right. So, but of course, the sooner it's done, the sooner it's done, right? So if it can be handled in the next 6 weeks and it still is possible to do digging and pouring and so on under this weather conditions, then I encourage, and actually planting is being done in the month of October. So this is actually an ideal time to put sort of dormant shrubs into the planting beds. So I encourage that work to be done now, but it depends on mobilization of a contractor. Okay. All right. So again, okay. So otherwise, so what I'll do is say that you might come back in something like 6 or 8 weeks, depending on our hearing schedule. And I'll let you know when exactly that is. Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Any other comments from commissioners? Otherwise, we'll go to the public. Okay. We're going to go to the public testimony now.
Okay, this item is 38985BZ, Bronxdale Avenue, Queens, Bronxdale Avenue, the Bronx. 2090 Bronxdale Avenue, the Bronx.
Okay. All right, then. I think we have given enough time. So I thank you very much, Ms. Reyes, for calling in. And our thanks to also Mr. Ronan for being so careful and responsive to our comments the last time. Okay. Is there something someone wanted to say? No? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Okay, did you see the DOT email letter, Madam Chair?
No, of course not. Hold on a second.
I don't want to be pushy.
Is it something sent when?
We sent a few minutes ago.
It was sent just a few minutes ago, a DOT letter dated October 2nd. I have to say this is the first time I'm seeing it. It's not in the SharePoint.
But I emailed it to everybody, so it's weird. I did that.
I don't know how I missed your email, but I did not see it.
I'm sorry. I know I emailed it.
All right. So it says, at this time, we've reviewed all pertinent documents submitted to our office and have the following comments. The final builder's pavement plan as submitted to DOB must be submitted to DOT sidewalk and inspection management and pedestrian ramp program for review and approval. The site plan must be revised to show the pedestrian ramp at the intersection of Wyman Place and Silverton Terrace to be as parallel. Oh, but this is the one, revise the site plan to show the extension of the crosswalk. Wait a minute, I saw this one. This is the one, I don't know what happened to it. This is the one that Mr. Goldstein was responding to and submitted to us a set of drawings that is a little confusing. The DOT is supposed to have reviewed, and it sounds like didn't review, but they're just saying we're okay as long as they make the changes. Is that right?
But what happened is this came in on Friday. I sent it, the applicant was copied on it. Jay and I were copied on it. Mr. Goldstein and I were copied on this. Jay immediately then submitted a response to what he could on those items. The other two would be handled at DOB, I believe. So that's what was sent to DOT. That Friday submission also. So I asked, as per you, I asked them, please review it, and you wanted a letter on that submission from Jay, correct?
I wanted the final.
Right,
Yeah.
so what DOT has now said to you is they will not be producing a letter. They just wanted those things taken care of, and we can move forward.
Okay.
And
All
that
right.
was in the email I sent you, the email chain I had sent you on Friday, because the applicant was saying, are you saying is BSA okay to move forward? And you're okay. And DOT said that in the email chain I sent you Friday, saying that I thought Jay was I didn't know how you felt about the email from Jay Goldstein to the applicant.
I'm never okay with an applicant saying an agency is okay, go ahead, don't worry about it, right?
Right. I told him, I emailed him and said, that is up to the board, Mr. Goldstein. So.
Right. So what I needed was that email from Mr. Garong that's saying they're not going to issue another letter as long as they do. So the letter that they're referring to that was issued, so-called issued last week, is the letter of July of October 2nd. Okay.
Right.
So for our council, because they have to write a resolution, the letter of October 2nd, which I'm going to now forward to submit.
Which is already sent to submit, but go ahead.
Sent it to, well, it's not in the folder, so we don't know.
Yeah, Jill and I just sent it to submit to again. Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Okay, so it was resent to submit, because I don't care if there are two of them in the folder, we need to at least have one, right? Okay.
Yeah,
So for our council's benefit, the conditions of the application are the letter of October 2nd from DOT must be complied with, okay? And that would be a condition of approval. So let me go back to Wyman. So
Okay, so let's call it back. So it's decision item number 9, and it's 5813A, 4 Wyman Place, Staten Island, or Wyman Place, Staten Island.
Right.
Do we have to reopen to take any of that stuff in? No, okay,
No.
fine.
We were specifically waiting for DOT sign off, so.
Right, okay.
So there were no other conditions. So based on what I just said, the conditions of the October 2nd, 2020 letter from DOT, those requirements must be complied with as a condition of our approval. Motion to grant.
Okay, Chair Perlmutter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shabeta.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, board, for your patience. Sorry for the confusion.
Okay, so we're done. That was the last hearing case this
Yes.
morning.
This is the last case, and we'll resume at 2 p.m.
Okay, wait a second. There are 3 people currently in the waiting room. I don't know for what.
2 were registered for different applications, and they should check the website lineup for the proper date and time for when that application will be heard.
Okay, we don't know which application, so one person hung up already. Yeah, our website has a listing of times for the applications. So please go to nyc.gov/BSA and look for the calendar. It's called the lineup or the calendar?
It's
The lineup, it's a calendar lineup.
It's on the front page of the website, but for calendar number 30313BZ, that will be heard on October 6th at 10 a.m. So that is tomorrow.
And any other ones that are registered? They're all registered for that
The phone number
Okay.
is not registered.
one. Okay. All right. Thanks very much. See everybody at 2. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.